Okay, another weird story. I'll tell you. I say I've had all these dealings I've had with women. It's been bad, but I'll tell you another story. This is about a crown prosecutor. For those of you living in the United States, a crown prosecutor would be the equivalent of a district attorney, basically. Somebody who prosecutes criminal cases in court. This person, well, when she was young and just starting out as a crown prosecutor, she rented the apartment directly underneath mine. She started a campaign against me to have me thrown out of my apartment. She was complaining constantly that I was making noise and keeping her awake at night and everything. She had a boyfriend there who was a guard in our local jail. Now, our jail closed down in 1994, I believe, so they closed our jail up in my hometown in 1994, so this was a long time ago. And anyway, she had this boyfriend she was living with, and she had heard that my apartment was bigger than hers, and that's why she started this campaign to get me thrown out of my apartment, because she wanted to take it over, because she wanted more space, you know. And so she was willing to make me homeless in order that she could have more space to get me evicted. So she was complaining about me. There were times I was away for the weekend, and I'd have the landlord banging on my door on Monday, confronting me because I was making noise up there all weekend and that she was complaining and all that. Well, I hadn't even been there, you know, so it didn't make any sense. But eventually I found out that that's why, because I overheard her tell somebody that that's why she was doing it. So I found out anyway that was the reason, that she was going to get me thrown out of there so she could take my apartment, move into it because there was more room up there, which there was. I had a huge apartment. Anyway, it ended up that she failed at that. She tried to do it and she failed at it because she got caught in lies several times. And so it just didn't work out. She failed at getting me evicted. Then she was mad at me. And she actually moved out of the building after that, too. But what happened is, every time, well, another thing that used to happen, funnily enough, she was complaining about me being noisy. I used to get woke up quite often at 2 and 3 in the morning with the sound of her and her boyfriend having sex. She was really loud when she'd have sex. And he would prematurely ejaculate, and then there'd be a hell of a fight. And she'd be screaming at him at the top of her lungs about how come he gets to have his, but she never has hers. And the fight would actually go out of the apartment into the corridor outside the apartment. It was wild, the stuff that would go on. Anyway, but she's complaining that I'm making too much noise and I need to go. It ended up that after she moved out, now bear in mind, I was living in a town of 6,000 people. You cross paths with everybody at some point. It was unavoidable. But what she started doing is, every time she'd cross paths with me, she called the police on me. She was trying to build a case to say that I was criminally stalking her. No, that's not what I was doing. I was going to the grocery store or wherever, or walking down the street or whatever. I was not stalking her. I had no interest in stalking her. She actually ended up taking up with another woman. I guess she'd come to the conclusion that she was a lesbian, so she got herself a girlfriend after she broke up with the boyfriend. And she had the idea that I was stalking her, or at least that's what she was claiming. I don't think she honestly believed that to be true, but it was a way to pay me back for not losing my apartment. So, anyway, this is what she did. And, she did not like to lose, anyway, I'll tell you that. But it ended up that that went on for years, her calling the police on me, claiming that I was stalking her, when really all I was doing was going about my business in a small town where you do cross paths with people a lot, you know, and it's kind of an unavoidable thing. You know, like if you had an issue with somebody in that town, it was very difficult to avoid that person, you know. It was. You'd end up running into them somewhere, at the grocery store or the gas station or on the street or something. That's just how it was. you know. And so, yeah, I ran into her a few times. I didn't speak to her. I didn't acknowledge her. I didn't try to get her attention or anything. I was just going about my business. I had no interest in what she was doing. As long as she didn't interfere with me, I didn't care. But she did interfere with me with calling the police on me all the time. So, you know, there you go. I've got a record, a police record at least, not a criminal record because I was never charged, but I got a police record for stalking a Crown prosecutor. She's now a judge. Her name's Kim Moore, and she's now a judge. You can actually look her up. If you don't believe me, you can look her up. Kim Moore is her name. She even went so far as to visit people I knew and make inquiries about me. My friends that had the scrapyard outside of Perth, she showed up at their place one time, wanting to know about me and if I go out there and stuff like that. So I mean, yeah, it was bad anyway. If anything, she was stalking me. I wasn't going around making inquiries about her. I really couldn't care less what she did as long as she wasn't doing it to me, you know. Anyway, there's another story for you. So thanks to one woman, I have a police record for raping a child. Thanks to another woman, I have a police record for viciously slaughtering an animal. And thanks to another woman, I have a police record for stalking a Crown attorney who is now a judge. Now, I wasn't deserving of any of those because I didn't do any of that. Now, I'm deserving of having a police record for carrying a weapon and for assaulting people because I did do that. So I deserve that record. And I even have a criminal record for that. I don't have a criminal record for the other things because I was never charged for them because there was never a case. It was just accusations, you know. Anyway, that's it. That's another story. I know I'm kind of belaboring the point at this point, and you're all probably getting sick of hearing about it. But I'm just trying to say I do have my reasons for being the way I am with regard to women. And, you know, I mean, like I say, there are so many stories. Like, I mean, I could write a book. I really could, and it'd be a thick book too. Just on that topic alone, I could write a book. When I was young, I was the guy that the girls would call to come and rescue them when the boyfriend would dump them out of the car on a side road at 2 a.m. I went to school all day. I was in high school, and then I worked 4 to midnight in a wire factory, and I was boarding at a house. And in those days, we had the telephone that was bolted to the kitchen wall with the bell that rang. And so when the phone rang, it'd wake up the whole house. And I'd get a call from some crying girl. You know, her bastard boyfriend had dumped her out of the car in the middle of nowhere, and she had made her way to some farmhouse and woke that family up and was there, you know. A lot of cases, she'd be dumped out of the car half naked. And I'd have to go and pick her up. And I would, you know. And, but, you know, they'd be right back with that guy. Right after that, like, so, yeah. Anyway, that's it. That's it for now. We'll talk to you all later.